This video is really about my father, my dad, Tom Fielding, known as Thos. And in 1944 and 1945, he was part of an RAF Wellington bomber crew who managed to complete a full tour of 30 operations, which was no mean feat for those days. And a few years ago, I took my dad down to meet the sort of survivors of his crew down at RAF Cosford in Shropshire, and got to know the other guys who my dad had sort of kept in touch with over the years. And the thing that sticks in my mind was the fact that they still called each other by the nicknames from World War II, and the four survivors were Thos, Rocky, Slim and Jack. My dad, Thos, came from Sunderland, which is pretty much where I live, and so we're now off down the A1 to meet up with my dad's old pilot, Jack Webster, or Flight Lieutenant Jack Webster as he was at the time.
When we first met up, Rocky and Pete Taylor, they knew each other because they both came from Wednesbury. Aye. So that was okay. And then the other two had met each other on the course, so that was four people settled. It was only a matter of finding a second pilot, actually, and we found old Tug, who was 25 years older than me, and that was a crew. And we stayed together. Tug left us eventually, but the rest of the crew all stayed together. But when we first met up, I asked each one what he was best at. And so it came out that Tommy wanted the guns, and Rocky was the man on the radar, and Slim preferred the radio. And I said, well, as long as you're sure that's what it is, because you can change your mind any time, but once we get on ops, I'd like you to, whatever job you're supposed to do, I'd like you to do that. Just while we're on ops, when we're doing something else, it doesn't matter, you can change around. And that's how it went, and we stuck through for almost a year like that.
So a big age difference between you all?
Yes, well, not really, because I was quite young. I was about 20 at the time.
If Tug was 25 years older.
Yeah.
And I understand that Slim was actually underage.
He was 2 years under, because he used his brother's birth certificate.
That's right.
Yeah. But no, we got on fine, actually. We had ups and downs, but not amongst the crew. We were all very happy together. And I think that makes for a good operation as well, because when you're at peace with each other, if you're doing a job, you do it very well because there's no strain. It comes perfectly natural, actually. Yeah.
All a question of trust, I suppose.
It is, yeah. And I don't think anybody ever made many mistakes. You know, we had a few. I remember coming down on the radar. The radar we had with the stickleback. They had these 5 aerials on the back, and the only thing you had was a circular dial with a centre line, and the blips used to come off the circle line, but that's all. There was nothing to, no map or anything to look at. You just got this dial, and to try and pick islands out of there from blips, I don't know. They were very, very good, and Rocky was marvellous, actually. And he took us up the Gulf of Corinth one night at 500 feet under a lowering cloud base with mountains on either side, just on these spots off and we made it without any trouble. Once we went wrong, actually, we thought we were heading for little island called Antikythera, actually, but we weren't. We were actually going up one of the fingers at the top of the island, actually, and that was Crete. And at the last minute, the guns opened up from underneath, so we knew where we were. We weren't over Kythera at all. And I had to stand the aeroplane on a wingtip and go around and out again, because we're already at 500 feet. We always went through low to get under the radar. And a 6,000 foot mountain was just 30 seconds away. And we turned around and went out again, but a whacking rake piece of shrapnel about the size of my hand went through the tail fin just above Tom's head, and he wasn't very happy about that. But fortunately, it didn't hit anything else. But there you are.
I think you started as a crew in North Africa?
Yeah, well, at Benghazi. Yeah, that was it. I'd been before. I was sent back to OTU to get my own crew, but I was the second dickie on the first tour, joining a crew that had come up from East Africa. And, of course, when they became Tour X, because they'd done half a tour, I was grounded, and in that 1 month I had to wait. All the people I knew on the squadron either got killed or it was a bad time, actually, and before I went on to ATU. I was glad to get away, really. It got very dicey at that particular time.
I think a tour, as I understand it, was 30 ops?
Yeah, that's right, about 30 I did with that crew, yeah. But I'd done 20-something before, actually. Something like 50-something altogether, actually. Quite a lot, but the first tour was mostly convoy escort, not so much of the heavy stuff, you know, up the Aegean. You know, we carried torpedoes on the first tour, but we never dropped one in anger. The training course out of Chalufa, flying down the Red Sea, was quite frightening, actually, because when you drop torpedoes from a Wellington, you have to do it at night, and you have to use the moon path. And the moon path, you know, you see it shining out, and it brings a light towards you, and you silhouette the ship beam on to the moon path, and down you go, actually, at 100 feet. And you have to drop the torpedo not more than 100 feet, otherwise they break up. And as long as the sea is a little bit choppy, it's okay, you know, because you can focus. But if it isn't, if it's like glass, it's very dangerous. And a lot of people went there. Aeroplanes very often came back with the metal props. They came back like that with that much on the bottom. If they were wooden, it just broke off, actually. But it didn't happen to us, but nearly did, because we did a mining trip on the Kalkis, which is what our song is about. And that was quite tricky, because we had to slide down a mountainside and then round that over the water, and there was no wind in the lee of the mountain, and the sea was flat calm. And I knew it was too low because there was sea spray on the windscreen, so I had to ease up a bit before picking up the aiming point and getting rid of the bomb, actually.
You mentioned being hit by shrapnel. Did you ever get any entanglements with the German fighters?
Well, not as such. In fact, the Ju-52, 88 actually saw most of all. And when we did the Kalkis, actually, there was one over our heads. We had the black camouflage at the time, and he didn't see us. I saw him because I saw the shadow move across. But I said to Tommy, I said, make sure they're cocked, but don't touch them. We'll let sleeping dogs lie. And sure enough, he drifted away and never saw us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have stood a chance, actually. But
I mean, I suppose they weren't the only dangers being shot at. There'd be the dangers of accidents, of crashes.
Yeah.
And I think my dad, who was Thos, had mentioned that he crashed twice, I believe.
No, we never crashed at all, actually.
Or on takeoff, didn't he?
No, we had a bit of an engine failure, actually, and we were at Falconara, and it was one of these strips, metal strips, actually, very slippery, and the engine failed, and I didn't catch it quick enough, and we came off the runway. And then we were heading for the control tower, but I managed with brakes and one thing or another to miss that. but we didn't miss the windsock, and we chopped the windsock off. That was the one. And so the next time we flew that aeroplane, it had all these bomb things on the side, plus a windsock. Yeah.
So when that happened, was that on takeoff?
On takeoff.
You had a bomb load, or?
Oh yes, we were taking off. Oh yeah. But it wasn't particularly serious, you know. It's just these things happened. Yeah. And we had a hang-up once, which frightened us as well, because that could have been catastrophic. Because I was screening a crew. I think there was only Slim with me actually on that one, another crew, and we went somewhere and couldn't find the prime target, so we found another one and bombed that. But 3 of the bombs didn't come off, and I was screening, so I took over command then and went back and tried to get them off over the island. We had a little island just off the coast of Foggia, completely uninhabited, and we used to drop the rubbish there. And I turned the aeroplane upside down and everything, trying to get... 2 came off, but 1 wouldn't actually. And I didn't know really what to do, because it's very dangerous when you don't know where the bomb is.
Because they would be already fused, I would imagine.
Yeah. And anyway, I called them up and said, you know, I don't want to bail out and let you, you know, I'll bring it in, but, you know, could you put us on a runway that doesn't matter, you know? So they said, all right. So in we came actually, but somewhere on the approach, the bomb fell off. But the bomb doors were shut, so it didn't go anywhere, it just lay there. But they were instantaneous bombs. They have a stick on the front and they have a little propeller and a pin which pulls out when the bomb falls off. And then as the bomb's coming down, this little propeller works its way off. And once it's off, the bomb is live. And so there was enough slipstream going through the bomb bays to take the prop off. So there it was lying there completely live actually. It was a lovely touchdown, a real Webster greaser. So there wasn't a problem there, but when I put the brakes on, the bomb shot forward actually, and it stopped about that far, about 3 inches away from the bulkhead. And
that would have been that.
That would have been, yeah. And so I didn't know where the bomb was, so I said, keep everybody away until I'm out. As soon as I'm out, you can do what you like. But so I got the armourers together, and I said, we don't know where it is. It might be still on the bomb rack. We don't know. So I suggest you get 30 blokes underneath and arch the bomb bays down at ½ an inch at a time, and then you'll see if it's, and they did. And there it was actually, and eventually when they got about 6 inches to spare, they could get a hand in and a couple of spanners and take the fuse out actually.
So what size of bomb would that have been?
It was 250 pounder. It wasn't terribly big, but big enough to kill us and everybody else. Yeah. And now we're in the circuit, we're coming into land. You can't see the runway for the blooming sand, but we jogged our minds so good and true, and so would you to blinking true. Oh, we've been to mind the Calcus, you should have seen the flak, flak, flak.